Hello friends, this is Carmen. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. You've come on the perfect day. Today I'm going to be taking you through my home and sharing with you each and every plant that I have inside my home. And let's hope I can remember all the names. If I don't, I will put them on the screen for you. Okay, so this is what I call my TV room, my lounge. This is where I watch TV, the dogs and I hang out. I do my editing and all of that stuff. And I have probably the most amount of plants in here. So I guess you could call it the plant room also. On this shelving unit here, some of these you probably have seen more recently from my trips. This is the Spathiphyllum sensation, the peace lily, variegated peace lily that I got in California, and the lemon lime maranta that is also from California. It's doing great. The red maranta is right up here. I've been trying to do a time lapse on these to show the movement of the leaves in the late afternoon, evening. And so I'm working on that. It's coming, folks. And here is an Epiphyllum monstrous, I believe. I call it the curly Sue. It's its common name. It's really been growing quite a few new leaves lately, which is great because it's inside all the time. I recently dug out this light here, this 3-prong light, and attached it to the shelf there because I added more plants here and the grow bulb, the hanging grow bulb, just wasn't enough. So I dug this out and attached it here. And I'll have links to these grow lights down below in the description box. This is my Monstera Deliciosa Monty, and I did quite a cutting on him not too long ago because he was growing like sideways, and I wanted him to grow more up, so I cut off the leaves that were growing sideways. I think it was around, yeah, right here is where I cut them. And since then he's given off this aerial root and grown a lot more leaves. This is the last big one that opened up. So he's doing really well here underneath this grow bulb. This one you've seen recently probably. This is the heartleaf philodendron that I brought back from California, or from Arizona is where I got this one. And she's doing really well there. Lots of new growth points on her. I have mainly pothos hanging here. This pot, lower pot here, is a combination of different pothos. The neon pothos, golden pothos, the enjoy, and the global green. Very nice friend sent that. Oh, I broke off a leaf there. Very nice friend sent this to me, and it's been growing beautifully. It's been growing so much that I'm going to need to cut it. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to propagate the longer ones like the global green and the golden pothos, and then separate them to make bigger, fuller pots of those individually because they're kind of outgrowing each other. On top there I have, and it looks like it needs watering. I'll have to water it once I'm done here, the neon pothos, and I think I can combine these together to make a nice big pot. This here is my Manjula pothos, and it was sitting in front of the window here, which is a west-facing window, but I noticed it was starting to revert. You see how it's losing its variegation on the leaves from the original plant? So it's growing, but it's just the variegation was just not there. So I put it here right under this grow bulb. I'm hoping that the new leaves we'll have more variegation on them. This here is my Cebu Blue pothos. This is the cuttings that I took off of the main mother plant that's in the dining room, and I'll show you her in just a little bit. But she's doing good here. I've actually taken more cuttings from the mother plant that I think I'm going to send to my mom, because the mother plant is just growing so much, and she's on a totem pole. But this is the propagation cuttings from her. And then down below, here's my Monstera Peru. I have her here on this stand for right now, and you know, she's growing really well. I'm still cannot get over the size of these leaves on her, but she is opening up new leaves there. Right now she's in this basket. I will probably add some kind of totem pole to continue the growth, the large size growth of the leaves on her. And my Philodendron Birkin, this one came from Arizona, as did the Monstera Peru. And I recently repotted that one. This one I didn't include in the recent repotting video I did. Do you mind? I'm trying to film here. Okay? I'm trying to film. You guys behave. Anyways, but I did repot her into a bigger pot in fresher soil, so she's loving it there. My Hoya obovata, this is the only Hoya I have in here. I have all the other Hoyas in my bedroom, and but the Hoya obovata is growing like crazy. She's actually about to outgrow this heart trellis there. This here's Philodendron Moonlight. You remember not too long ago I bought one pot of the Philodendron Moonlight from Lowe's and separated it. The other one is in the dining room, but look at this one here, how much it has grown, giving off lots of new leaves, and the leaves are... It's like working with kids and dogs, you know? So the leaves are getting real big. Down below here is my Aglaonema Silver Bay. This was a real tiny 4-inch pot. And she's now in a 6-inch pot and growing a new leaf like every 3 days. I get a new leaf on her. It's really just wonderful. And underneath here is the Pothos Enjoy that I brought from Mickey Hargitay's in Hollywood, California. I have not repotted it. It's just here for right now until I decide to repot it along with that other one that's hanging. This here, if you remember not too long ago, friends, I did a video of plants that were on the struggle bus. And this is my Philodendron Silver Sword. This one was on the struggle bus, and it had just a couple of leaves on it. It was literally steps away from me throwing it away. But I decided to give it another chance, and it's been growing really well. I don't know if I'm going to leave it right here because I'm thinking that it's not getting enough light. So I am going to be getting a new table or shelf unit here, so I will try and position it into some better lighting. Here's the Philodendron Fuzzy Patio that had a rough time on the trip back from Arizona, but she's hanging in there and getting better. And I'm not going to cut off those damaged leaves just yet. They're not turning yellow or anything like that. And so I don't want to put the plant into even more shock by taking them off. So this is a bishop's cap. Cacti. I guess, no, I think it's a succulent still. These are so cool. And I'll put the technical name on here because honestly, I can't remember it right now. I just know it as a bishop's cap because of the shape of it. That's why they call it that. But this was sent to me by when I lived in Arizona by someone that also used to live in Arizona, and it's grown from this point right here. Look how much it's grown. It does get watered very infrequently. I water this maybe every couple of months because it survives well on very little water. And my variegated peperomia here, not a super fast grower right here because it doesn't get a lot of light. I'm hoping to change that, but you can see it is giving off some new leaves. This is how they spend their time in here when they're not sleeping. Rosie is like over it, and Georgie's like, let's play. Huh? You want to play? And she doesn't want to? So here's one that you probably saw in the repotting video. This is my philodendron burl marks propagation cuttings, and the cuttings that came from Mark. This is Mark Jr. Look, even in propagation, Mark Jr. gave off 2 new leaves that are already opening and 3 that are about to open, 4. So absolutely amazing plant. I've never seen a philodendron grow so much than this burl marks. I'd really love to find a variegated one. I had one that was sent to me from Indonesia, an import, but it did not survive the transport. It just didn't make it. So I'm hoping to get another one. And here is another philodendron that's amazing. This is the philodendron micans. I want you to take note, friends, how small the leaves down here are. But as we start growing up, you'll notice the size of the leaves, how much bigger they're getting. And it's hard for the camera to pick it up, but maybe on here, the iridescence, the coppery sheen of these leaves is absolutely gorgeous. So I've got her on these little stickers that go on the wall, and then you just close it, and that keeps the stem in. And it's, you know, you can hardly ever see them. But she's really outgrown this leaf trellis down here, but I like the way it looks, and I don't want to move her. Over here is another huge philodendron. This one I got at the local Lowe's, and I got her on, or him rather, on, because this is a philodendron Prince of Orange. That's why it's a him. On clearance, and he's just doing beautifully. About to open up, unfurling here, a brand new leaf. These are the leaves that have recently come in, and you can see they come in very, very orange, and then they start turning like a coppery, and then they even more green until they completely green. But the trunk on this is amazing. I have not repotted this. It is still in the same pot. It's a 12-inch nursery pot that I have in a basket, and it's still got the same soil and everything. So I'm not sure when I'm going to repot that because it's growing so much. I'm afraid to mess with it, you know. But it sits in front of this window and just all is glory, just taking up the entire space. And this is a west-facing window. This is my Scindaptus. I don't think it's a silvery Ann. I think it's a regular Argyraeus and Scindaptus pictus. This one came from Arizona, and he's doing really well. It's got a little bit of yellowing on this one leaf, but I got him on clearance in Arizona and doing beautifully. I'm not super happy with this location, but it'll do for right now. And you know, I think I am going to have to move him because it's a little dark for him over here. Okay, so we're in my bedroom now. Of course, they're following me. So this window is a south-facing window. It does get lighting there. It does get very good light. I've tried to close off the blinds a little bit because of the backlighting, but I do have a grow bulb hanging there too, just to supplement some of the lighting. But I've got a couple of ficus here, and really these are the only ficus I have. Ficus Audrey and Ficus Burgundy there, Ficus elastica Burgundy. And neither of these have been repotted. These are still in the original soil. This one I think I'm going to need to repot sooner than later, although I do need to clean it. It's given off 2 leaves. So it recently, after being very, very quiet for quite a while. But they're doing great. Let me back up just a bit here. Right here is my string of hearts, the regular green one. It is growing real nice. And it's hanging on a shelf here, just right on the shelf. Hasn't bloomed yet, but it's growing, actively growing, so that's good. Okay, so let's look at some of my Hoyas. I've got all of my other Hoyas here, other than the obovata that's in the lounge. This here, I believe, is just a regular Hoya carnosa. I think it may have a little bit of variegation there as a princess, but that's the only leaves there that are variegated. Everything else is just a very dark and lush green. It has grown so much during the time I was away. This large trail there, and growing right up, looking for something to wrap itself around. And it hasn't bloomed for me, but she's giving off lots of leaves and lots of growth. This is the Hoya curtisii that I just repotted, and I think she will really like the south-facing sun here in this window. This one here is my Hoya pubicalis Splash. I've shared this one before because of the beautiful burgundy on the new leaves, the sun stress it gets in this window, but look at all the growth during the time I was gone. Absolutely incredible. It's giving off new leaves. I guess that's how Hoyas, I'm recently converted Hoya head. So I guess that's how the new leaves grow. They send off the tendrils like that, searching for something to hang on to, and then all the leaves will start growing. This has not bloomed for me either. I'm hoping that it will, because of it's just doing so well, and it's growing, and it's profuse growing. So we'll see. The other Hoyas I have down here, this one also came from Arizona, Hoya macrophyllum albo marginata. This one I recently repotted, as I did this one here, the Hoya carnosa crimson princess. She's doing better. Her leaves are getting plumper. Remember, she was in that soil that was not absorbing any water. It was just draining right through. It wasn't retaining any water, and the leaves were looking really terrible. But she is doing much better now with the new soil, that she is getting water into her leaves. This one here is a Hoya I got from Green Spaces ID. These two are the newest leaves. This is actually the newest, and then that one. But look at how huge these are. I'll put the name on the screen here because, to be honest, I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it is one long stem that's kind of wound around this wire there. And it loves this south-facing window and this grow bulb. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Here's my Hoya carrii variegated. It's getting a new leaf there, just a little tiny one. And then I've got one stem of my Hoya Hindu rope. I'd like to find another one so I can put it in a pot with her. And my regular green, I need to dust these, Hoya carrii is getting some new leaves right there. and my Hoya Crinkle 8. This one I really need to dust. With these little divots on here, the dust settles in here. So I need to clean that up. But yeah, you can see that's growing also. Is another plant that I got from Green Spaces ID. This is the Philodendron White Princess. She's getting some new growth there. This leaf, not the best, but the leaves that she has gotten have a really nice variegation on them. And I'm hoping that this one will come out okay. It seems a little bit brown on the edges there. So we'll see. But that is the Philodendron White Princess, which looks a lot like the White Knight. I think you can get that confused with it too. But I think in the stem is where you would see the difference. Okay, so let's go in the dining room. Okay, so in the dining room here, it's where I have the rest of my plants. And let's start on this stand right here at the top. This is my Monstera Adansonii variegated, also came from Green Spaces ID. Incredible growth on this plant, and it seems to love this. This is an east-facing window here. And look, 2 new leaves opening at the same time. Really, really impressive plant. This is the Philodendron Painted Lady. And I recently had to add the top portion of this trellis there to extend it because she was outgrowing the trellis. And you know, the really unusual thing about this plant is that she's opening up leaves up here at the top where you would expect her to, but she's also opening up down here where you wouldn't necessarily expect her to open leaves down there. So that's really cool, which I'm glad because it'll fill in the plant. And this is the Philodendron Imperial Green that I brought back from Arizona. This one was the other one that had a little bit of difficulty in the transport. I may have to cut that leaf off there, but it does have this leaf unfurling here, so it should be okay. I think eventually it will be okay. And then over on this side, I always forget the name of this one. This is my Anthurium Silver Blush. It had 4 leaves when I got it from Indonesia, from Green Spaces. And 2 of them died, and then one opens, the other one dies, and I can't seem to get it with more than 2 leaves on it. So we'll see, but it's hanging in there. Now, one that I have had for a while, and I'm sad to say that it's lost almost all of its variegation, is this Syngonium albo. It had such beautiful variegation on it, but over the last year, little by little, the variegation has gone from white to cream to now like a yellow to this last leaf, almost nothing on it. So, you know, I moved it here to this east-facing window, hoping that it will get more sun, but we'll see how it does. It's opening up another leaf there. I mean, it has not stopped growing. The growth on it is amazing. I'm thinking I'm going to need to propagate it because it's getting so big, but it just, the variegation is going away. So here is the other half of that Philodendron Moonlight that was in my TV room. Here's the smaller cutting of it, or separation of it. And it's got a little bit of struggle here on this leaf, but this one opened up fine. And it's growing finally. And my Philodendron Ring of Fire. I'd like a little more variegation on it, but you know, it's growing and it's doing okay. Get out of the plant. Stop eating the dirt. Speaking of dirt, look. This is what he does. Hey! Stop. Let me see your mouth. What do you have in your mouth? Oh, Georgie. No. It's like a child. Okay, so here in the window, hopefully you can see all this, friends, because I have closed the the blinds as best I could. But this is the philodendron burl marks. Mark, the one that I took the cutting from, and you can see how much he has grown. I'll show you some pictures here of how big he was when I brought him from Arizona a year ago and how much he has grown. I made the cuttings here, and look, he's growing here. I made the cutting here, and see, he's growing there. And there was another cutting down below somewhere there, but incredible, incredible growth on this plant. And I love it. And here I may end up moving this philodendron Brazil. I'm thinking that she's getting a little too much sun. Lots of new growth on there, but when I got back from my trip, I noticed that she had a lot of little dried up and burned leaves, and I'm thinking that this here is a little too much sun for her, so I'm thinking that she needs to be moved. Just below that, I did just move this one here. This is my ZZ plant, and it's really just shooting up like crazy in the last few months. After being just kind of quiet for a while, it's really just growing quite a bit. So here is my variegated string of hearts, and it really does love this east facing window. I've shown you this plant before, and it's just doing beautifully. When I got back, I noticed that it had even more of these little bulbs there. And so I'm thinking I may, here's another one, I may propagate her and do another planter of her. But yeah, she's getting so long. She's only about 18 inches away from the ground here, so I'm gonna have to do something with her soon. Here's the Cebu Blue Pothos, the mother plant that I did those propagations from. She had a lot of dry leaves also when I checked on her, and so I kind of moved her to the side a little bit. I did do a nice chop around the bottom because the stems, the trails were growing along the bottom here, along the floor. So those propagation cuttings I'm actually rooting right now out on the patio, and I'm going to send those to my mom so she'll have them. But she's growing really well. I mean, it has not stopped. I'm going to have to find a larger, or make a larger moss pole so she can grow up, because she really doesn't have anywhere to go right now. And I'd really like for her to get the larger leaves, and if I can do it, the fenestrations on those large leaves. So here, you all remember Terry, my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, and look at the growth that Terry is giving off right across there. And I got to fix her on the end over there as far as propping her back up. But I'm thinking this one too I'm going to propagate. I see a propagation video in my future. And so I can put it down in the basket here, because it's just, you see how she's lost so many leaves down here. So I think if I can propagate a couple more sections and put them down here, that'll fill her up down here at the bottom, which, you know, she'll look so much better for. But she's really just loving this area right here, doing beautifully. Well, there you have it, friends. That is my indoor houseplants tour for spring 2023. It's an ever-growing collection because I am having to replace so many plants that I left behind in Arizona, but I'm really happy with the way that it's coming along. I do have a video coming up of my patio plants that will be out next. And so you want to make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss that video. And if you enjoyed this video and this type of format, I appreciate your giving it a like and a thumbs up. I will see you in the next video, friends. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye now.